Hi, so it's finally the time that I have decided to come and talk about books. This is me officially joining the community of booktube, and I want to talk about the best books of 2023 that I read past year. I have divided them into 5 genres, and I'm going to talk about them genre by genre, and at the end I'm going to tell you which was the best book that I read this year. So the genres are going to be the thriller and mystery, sci-fi, dystopia, historical fiction, and young adult children, like a mixture of all of them. So first, let's start with thriller and mystery. Well, I'm gonna talk about None of This Is True. That was a very strange book for me. Like, the audiobook of this book was a whole different level of audiobook, and that's like, I think that was like the most important part that made me hook with this book. It's about a woman called Alex who has a podcast, and then one day another woman comes and talks to her and says, okay, see, we were born in the same day and we were like in the same hospital, and my child was going to the same school as your children, so I want to ask you something. Make a podcast about me. Now, Alex previously was making podcasts about famous or like successful women. But this new woman says that I'm not successful, but I'm in the verge of being successful. And then Alex says, okay, let's build that podcast. But then she realized, what the hell has she done? That's the whole idea. Now, the second book in thriller and mystery genre is An Anonymous Girl. So the thing is, I love psychologists and I love thriller and mystery books. So when there is a psychologist in a thriller and mystery book, that's the book for me. And that's what An Anonymous Girl is. Have you read The Silent Patient? This was the exact vibe that I was receiving from this book. The way that the psychologist here is a villain. So the way that the psychologist was paying attention to her victim, kind of, that was the way that I was like, wow, because like, all of the people involved in this book are pretty smart, and you will get shocked by the way that they think and what are the details that they notice. Next genre is sci-fi. So I have 2 books in this part. One is The Project Hail Mary. This book was something else for me. Like, I don't know why, but I was obsessed with smart people this year. I was literally like just trying to find any book that has a smart person in it, and this is like one of those. So it's about like in the future, the sun is dying and it's getting colder and colder, and Dr. Grace is the only hope for humanity. There are 3 people who were sent to the space so that they can save the Earth. But when Dr. Grace wakes up from his coma, he realizes that all of his companions are dead, and now he is alone and trying to save the Earth. But the problem is that he has lost all of his memory. A very good book. Like the way, just in the beginning, the way that he was trying to figure out where he is by using gravity acceleration, I was like, this was the best book for me. Next one in sci-fi was the Arc of a Scythe series. Now, I think that the fact that I read this book in an alignment with the arrival of ChatGPT was the main reason that I loved it so much. But this is basically a book in the future. So there's an AI god in the future that is controlling everything to help the humanity. But it says that I won't do 2 things. I won't interfere in people's death and in people's life. So the death is something that the people themselves have to do. That's why there are a group of people called Scythe that their work in this world is to kill people and decide who is going to be the next person to be dead. And it was such a weird book. Like, when I was reading this book, I was almost sure that this is a prophecy, not a book. Like, I was completely like sure that, okay, this is gonna happen exactly. That's like how I believed in this book. All right. Now for me, the next genre was dystopia. So I have 2 parts. One was the Red Rising saga. I read the 3 books, but I didn't go for volume 4 and 5. I think they're a different story, but I read the first 3 and boom, that was really a good book. So it's about Darrow. Darrow is a person, like, let me tell you, there's this world that people are categorized by their color. So in the top part there are golds, and then we have silvers and other colors, and at the very bottom are reds. Reds are doing the mine work. They're very, very heavy jobs. So Darrow is one of the reds, and he loses his wife at the age of 16, if I'm correct, and then he decides to take revenge. That's why he kind of disguises himself as a gold and goes to live with golds and blah, blah, blah. The book was good. Next one is, so The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I mean, I have nothing to say in defense of this book. This book was amazing, and it made me think a lot about so many things that the governments nowadays are doing, and how entertainment is getting huge these days. Like, you can see how entertainment is basically everything, like even in the research field, because I'm a researcher, but even in the research field you can see that researchers are becoming entertainers. Like, the way that they advertise their work is important, which was not a problem before, but nowadays it seems that everything lies in entertainment, and that's weird. So, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And the good thing about this one was that I watched the movie after I read the book, and I'm happy that it was very recently read, not a very previous one. So next genre is historical fiction. So the book that I really liked was called I Must Betray You. It's about communism and about Romania in the year of 1980. I think the government that they are talking about is like Romania from that area. I'm from Iran, so I was completely understanding every single bit of that government. The way that they were talking about Ceausescu, the way that they had hang like Ceausescu's picture in every wall, in every school, even in the books. I completely understood that, and that's maybe why I resonated with this book so much. And finally, young adult or children. I have 2 books in this part. One of them is The Phantom Toll Booth. This was like a fun book for me. It starts very interesting. That was why I really related. It's about a boy who didn't care about learning new things. And like when he was at school, he was like, I want to go home. And he was at home, he was like, I want to go to school. And I really that's me. It's exactly me. That's why I really liked the book. And the next one was My Sister's Keeper. This was about, so we have this girl who at age of 2 was diagnosed with leukemia. So her parents kind of like made a new baby just to give her sister blood and everything. Like, this book made me think a lot about everything, about what is right, what is wrong. And the problem was that any character in this book that I put myself in their position, I was like, okay, they kind of have the right. And that was weird. That just happened with this book, and it was so weird for me. I had a mental crisis with this book. So that was all. These were my favorite books of this year. And let me tell you what was my best of the best, my ultimum book. I'm going to say The Ark of a Scythe. This was the best book for me. I had a very, very weird experience with this book, and I would advise you, go for this book. If you have it, or if you don't, go buy it, but read it. This is something else. You will understand it, especially if you have talked to ChatGPT. You will understand it completely. I'm probably I'm saying that this is a prophecy. So I don't have much time. I'm gonna end the video here, but I'll try to be more organized, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.